The silly space adventure. Once upon a time, in a small town, there lived a boy named Tim. Tim was 10 years old, with short blonde hair and bright green eyes. He loved everything about space. He dreamed of becoming an astronaut and exploring the stars. Tim's room was full of posters of rockets and planets, and he loved reading books about astronauts. One sunny morning, Tim woke up early. The sky was clear, and he felt excited. Today, his school was having a special event, a visit from real astronauts. Tim quickly got dressed and ran to the kitchen. "Good morning, Mom," Tim said as he came into the kitchen. His mother was making breakfast. "Good morning, Tim," his mother replied with a smile. "You are up early today." "Yes, Mom. Today the astronauts are visiting our school. I can't wait," Tim said eagerly. "That sounds exciting. Have a great time and don't forget to ask lots of questions," his mother said. "I will, Mom." "Thank you," Tim said, giving his mother a quick hug. After breakfast, Tim grabbed his backpack and walked to school. He couldn't stop thinking about meeting real astronauts. When he arrived at school, he saw his friend Emma. Emma was also 10 years old, with curly brown hair and blue eyes. She loved space just as much as Tim did. "Hi, Emma. Are you excited about today?" Tim asked. "Hi, Tim. Yes, I can't wait to meet the astronauts," Emma replied. The students gathered in the school auditorium, buzzing with excitement. The principal introduced the astronauts, Captain Mike and Captain Lucy. They wore bright orange spacesuits and had big smiles on their faces. "Hello, everyone. We're excited to be here today," Captain Mike said. "Being an astronaut is an amazing adventure," Captain Lucy added. "We travel to space, conduct experiments, and even float in zero gravity." The students listened with wide eyes as the astronauts shared stories about their space missions. Tim and Emma were fascinated. After the presentation, the students had a chance to ask questions. Tim raised his hand. "What is the funniest thing that has happened to you in space?" he asked. Captain Mike laughed. "Well, one time, I lost my sock in the spaceship. It started floating around, and I couldn't find it for days. Finally, I saw it stuck to the ceiling. In zero gravity, things can end up in the strangest places." Everyone laughed, and Tim and Emma imagined floating socks and other silly things happening in space. Today, 2 students will have the chance to visit a real spaceship. "Tim and Emma, please come to the front." Tim and Emma couldn't believe their ears. They walked to the front, and the astronauts greeted them with big smiles. "We heard you're big fans of space," Captain Lucy said. "How would you like to join us for a short trip to our spaceship?" "Yes, please," Tim and Emma exclaimed, feeling like they were in a dream. The astronauts led Tim and Emma to a special bus that took them to the Space Center. When they arrived, they saw a huge rocket ready for launch. Captain Mike and Captain Lucy helped them put on spacesuits. "These suits are so cool," Emma said, feeling like a real astronaut. "Let's get ready for liftoff," Captain Mike said, leading them to the spaceship. Inside the spaceship, everything looked amazing. There were buttons, screens, and gadgets everywhere. Tim and Emma sat in special seats, and the astronauts started the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff, Captain Lucy announced. The spaceship shook, and Tim and Emma felt a thrilling sensation as they blasted off into space. They looked out the window and saw the Earth getting smaller and smaller. "This is incredible," Tim said, his eyes wide with wonder. When they reached space, Captain Mike showed them how to float in zero gravity. Tim and Emma laughed as they floated around the spaceship, doing somersaults and bouncing off the walls. "Zero gravity is so much fun," Emma said, spinning in the air. "Watch out for floating objects," Captain Mike warned. "You never know what might come your way." As they explored the spaceship, Tim saw something funny. A small stuffed toy astronaut was floating by. "Look at this," he said, grabbing the toy. "That's our mascot, Astro Bunny," Captain Lucy said with a smile. "He likes to float around and keep us company." Tim and Emma played with Astro Bunny, making him do flips and tricks in the air. They were having the time of their lives. After a while, Captain Mike said, "It's time for a snack. In space, we eat special food that doesn't make a mess." He handed them small packets of food. Tim opened his packet and found little cubes of apples. "These are so tiny," he said, popping one into his mouth. Emma giggled as she opened her packet of carrot sticks. Space food is so different. They floated around, eating their snacks and enjoying the weightless feeling. Suddenly, a carrot stick slipped from Emma's hand and started floating away. "Catch it, Tim," Emma called out, laughing. Tim reached out and grabbed the floating carrot stick. "Got it," he said, handing it back to Emma. After their snack, Captain Lucy showed them how astronauts sleep in space. "We sleep in special sleeping bags that are attached to the wall. Otherwise, we would float away while sleeping." Tim and Emma tried out the sleeping bags and found it funny to be strapped to the wall. "This is so weird but cool," Tim said. As they continued their tour, Captain Mike pointed to a big window. "Look outside. You can see the Earth from here." Tim and Emma floated to the window and looked out. The view was breathtaking. They saw the blue oceans, green forests, and white clouds covering the Earth. "It's so beautiful," Emma said, her voice filled with awe. "I can't believe we're in space," Tim added. "This is the best adventure ever." After a while, Captain Lucy said, "It's time to head back to Earth. Are you ready for re-entry?" Tim and Emma nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and a little sadness that their adventure was coming to an end. The astronauts helped them back into their seats and started the re-entry process. The spaceship shook as it re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, and soon they were back on solid ground. When they landed, Tim and Emma took off their spacesuits and thanked Captain Mike and Captain Lucy for the incredible adventure. "Thank you so much. This was amazing," Tim said. "Yes, thank you. We had so much fun," Emma added. Captain Mike smiled. "You're welcome. Keep dreaming big, and maybe one day you'll become astronauts too." As they headed back to the school, Tim and Emma couldn't stop talking about their space adventure. They felt like real astronauts and knew they would never forget this day. When they got home, Tim told his parents all about the trip. "Mom, Dad, we went to space. We floated in zero gravity and saw the Earth from above." His parents listened with amazement and pride. "We're so happy for you, Tim. It sounds like a dream come true." That night, Tim wrote in his notebook about the silly and amazing things he experienced in space. He drew pictures of Astro Bunny, the floating carrot stick, and the beautiful view of the Earth. He felt grateful for the unforgettable adventure and the chance to learn from real astronauts. From that day on, Tim and Emma continued to dream about space and explore the wonders of the universe. They knew that with imagination and determination, anything was possible. And so, Tim and Emma lived happily, always remembering their silly and exciting space adventure. They shared their stories with their friends and inspired others to reach for the stars. The end.